In this video, we're talking about the chromatic tonal system. So you've probably already noticed that when you're looking at a piano keyboard, you have repeating clusters of white and black keys. For example, we can see that if we hover our cursor over this key, our middle C, on the left-hand side of the piano roll, it'll tell us that the note name is C3. If I put my cursor up to the similar looking white key above the C3, we can see that Ableton is calling this note C4. What does this mean? Well, these two notes, and this one, and this one, and this one, and so on, are all the same note, but separated by what's called an octave. An octave is determined by a doubling or halving of the frequency of a pitch. For example, if we halved the frequency of our middle C by dividing 256 Hertz by 2, we'd find the number 128 Hertz. So if I'm not telling you lies, then the frequency of C2 should be 128 Hertz. Let's find out if you can trust me. I'll add an instrument device and spectrum analyzer to this track so that we can confirm that this note, C3, is in fact producing 256 Hertz. Yep. I place my cursor over the transient or the peak of this harmonic in the spectrum analyzer, and down in the left corner of the display, I can see that the pitch is 256 Hertz. Yay. Okay, so what is the frequency of C2? I'll quickly lower the MIDI note from C3 to C2 by selecting the note, holding Shift, and pressing the down arrow on my keyboard. That shortcut will work for both Macs and PCs. Okay, let's hit play and see if this pitch is in fact sitting at half the frequency of C3. We're looking for 128 Hertz. Okay, let's think about octaves and pitches in a slightly different way. Let's visualize a vibrating string. On a guitar, perhaps. The pitch of a string is determined by the frequency of the vibration, which is in turn determined by the length of the string. The longer the string, the lower the pitch. The shorter the string, the higher the pitch. For example, if you pluck a string that's 1 foot long, or 12 inches, it will vibrate at a lower frequency than a string that's only 6 inches long. The relationship between the length of a string and the pitch of the note it produces is known as the harmonic series. The harmonic series is a set of pitches that are related to each other by whole number ratios. For example, if one string vibrates at a frequency of 440 Hertz, the next in the harmonic series will vibrate at 880 Hertz, 2 times 440 Hertz. The next string will vibrate at 1320 Hertz, 3 times 440 Hertz, and so on. So if the full length of a vibrating string produces a frequency of 256 Hertz, if we put our finger on the middle fret of the guitar neck, halving the length of that string, guess what? The string begins to vibrate at double the frequency, exactly 1 octave higher than the full length. And the sound of an octave is interesting because we can tell that the note is the same, just either higher or lower. Wowza! So you might already be connecting the dots on how the next part of this progression goes. Basically, someone down the line decided to continue subdividing until we were left with 12 divisions of a single vibrating string. These are the 12 pitches in a chromatic scale. For example, the C chromatic scale would start on C and then would include C sharp, D, D sharp, E, F, F sharp, G, G sharp, A sharp, B, and of course back to C at the higher octave. This is a tuning system called equal temperament and can be defined as a system of tuning in which the octave is divided into a number of equal steps or intervals. Each step is called a semitone or a halftone, and in the 12 equal temperament, there are 12 semitones or halftones in a full octave. This is the most common tuning system used in modern Western music, and although there are a lot of other ways to get super nerdy about tuning, for the context of this course, we won't be getting into any other tonal systems. Once you feel like you've grasped music theory fundamentals though, I definitely recommend taking a deep dive into all of the obscure and wonderful tonal systems. I mentioned earlier sharps and flats, and just so you know, the keys on a piano can be called sharps or flats depending on the musical scale that they reside in. This course is aimed toward computer musicians, so this information isn't going to be quite as relevant for you as it may be for someone planning to read musical notation on a staff. However, the language is the same, and it'll be important for you to know what these black keys are called. If we look at the note above A, it can be called A sharp. It looks like a pound symbol or a hashtag symbol. And it could also be called B flat, lower than B, but higher than A. Now, the main thing to remember is that a sharp increases the pitch by a semitone, and a flat decreases the pitch by a semitone. Whew. All right, that's the scoop on the meaning of the word pitch, sound wave, frequency, and octave. All this information you're learning now can feel a bit abstract at first, but these are all terms that we're going to be using and reinforcing a lot during this course and throughout your musical adventures in general. But remember that you can always come back to rewatch these videos at any time to refresh your memory. In the next video, we'll dive into the meaning and emotional significance of intervals. See you there.